Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Well, I keep telling you, every time I go to sit down to make a video, the lighting is different. I kind of regret spending all that money on these lights because from what I see, I don't see many shadows, I don't see issues with lighting at all, and I don't have one light on in here except the overhead light. Oh well. Okay, so today I want to take a look at real estate as an investment, and I think we're going to call it Real Estate 101. I really don't know. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at the pros and cons of real estate as an investment. Now, you should probably know that many years ago I was in real estate big time. And I had to get out of it because of health issues at the time. But anyway, I got out of it. I didn't really like the business because people are just not reliable. If people had done what they said they would do in writing, I would have been a wealthy man, a very wealthy man. Now, part of that is my problem because I have a knack for picking the wrong people for the properties, and I know that. So this time around, our little ministry bought a house, a rental house, and of course the first people I put in there didn't pay for a year and a half. But fortunately it was because of COVID, and I got, I didn't lose any money because I did the thing with the bank. And then when I finally did get them out, we remodeled the inside, and this time I did not pick the people. I hired somebody to do that, and we'll see. But this time I want to do things different, and I want to go over the pros and cons of real estate investing. Now, one of the biggest ones is leverage. You can control a property worth any amount of money for a percentage of that. As an example, if you want to get regular financing, you can control a $100,000 piece of property for 20% down, or well, any size property for 20 or 25% down, depending on the type of property. So leverage is big. And because you can control a larger dollar amount, the appreciation on the property goes towards the entire investment, not just the amount that you put in. Also, another pro would be taxes. Your property taxes are deductible on your taxes. Cash flow. Now, this is one that I got caught up in the first time around. If you're going to do real estate investing, I would say that the better the property, the less the cash flow, as a general rule, depending on where you live. If you want to get an old rundown piece of property, fix it up, rent it out, your cash flow is probably going to be pretty decent. But if you buy a decent piece of property in a decent part of town and rent it to decent people, you're going to make a decent amount of cash flow. Not a lot, but cash flow is an advantage. Depreciation. Depreciation is the wearing down of your property and your asset over time as it relates to your taxes. So, there are two types of depreciation, straight line and accelerated. The bad thing about depreciation is if you go to sell the property within a certain amount of time, you have to pay, if you take accelerated depreciation, which is what I used to do, if you sell the property, you have to revert to the straight line and pay the difference back. Okay. There's always a bad side to the good things. Another advantage of real estate is appreciation. In our example of a $100,000 piece of property that you put $20,000 down, if it appreciates 10%, it doesn't appreciate $2,000. It appreciates $10,000. So appreciation is very advantageous when you're investing in real estate, especially if you're in a hot area and you can keep it and refinance because proceeds from loans, real estate, or any loans actually, are non-taxable. Another advantage would be house hacking. You can, and we're going to do this in the next year or two, hopefully. You can buy a duplex, put enough down, and you can live in one side and have the other side pay the mortgage, or a 4-unit, or an 8-unit, or a 100-unit, and you can live in one unit, rent out the others, and live rent-free. Another advantage to real estate investing is passive income. Now, I don't know how passive it really is. I mean, I guess if you have money, you can pay to have everything done. But when I say we, I mean me, remodeled that little rental house, I did all the patching and the painting. I had installers rip out and put in new carpeting. And I paid somebody to pick all the stuff up out of the yard and clean out the house. And so, I mean, I had to hire a lot of it done, but I still did some of the work. But once you get it up and running, especially if you get the right people in there, it does become passive income. One of the main advantages, in my opinion, of real estate investing is it is a quick way to build wealth. Trying to save $100,000 for the average person will take a long time. If you buy the right piece of property, you can make $100,000 on a property in just a couple of years with appreciation. As an example, as we come out of this pandemic, the real estate market is hot. And properties that were going for around 120 are now going for about 170-ish. So within a year, if you had bought, then you would have made $50,000 in a year. It just depends on the market and where you are and your luck of the draw. And the final advantage I want to talk about is other people are paying for your assets. So if you invest in real estate and you put some cash down and your payment is $500 and you rent it out for $500, they're paying for your asset and all of the benefits we just talked about. I mean, you had to put the cash up front, you take the risk, you do the work to get it rented and collect the rents, but they're actually putting the money up every month to make your mortgage payment. Okay. Let's talk about some of the cons of real estate investment. And the first one is the down payment. Now this one, you can go anywhere from 0 to 20 or 25% down, depending on the type of financing. You can get a VA loan, which is 0 cash down. You can get an FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. You can get classic financing through a bank, that's 20% down. It just depends on the type of financing, but you do, as a general rule, will have to come up with some money for a down payment. Another con for investing in real estate is what's called P.M insurance. All banks require that if you put less than 20% down, you have to pay insurance to make sure that if anything happens, that the insurance company will make your payments or reimburse the bank. Now, most people think that when you get 20% equity in your property, it drops off automatically. It does not. When it gets to be 20, and by the way, it's 20% of the purchase price, not 20% of the appreciated price. I checked. And it doesn't fall off automatically. They will charge you infinitum. You have to request it. So find out what your purchase price was and figure out what 20% of that is. And when you pay the house down to that amount, then request your PMI insurance. And it's not cheap, by the way. Another con to real estate investing is it takes years to own it. When you buy stocks, you own it that day. That minute that you buy it, you own it. Real estate, depending on how much you put down, depending on how much you pay, depending on how long you finance it, it takes years before you own it outright. Unless you pay cash, which, good for you, but most people can't do that. Another con I touched on earlier is finding good people to rent to. I have never had luck doing that. I bet I was in the business 10 or 15 years. And I bet I can count on one hand, and I had about 30 units. And I can count on one hand the number of good tenants I had. The rest of them were out to steal, kill, and destroy. Another con to real estate investing is attorneys. At some point you will need an attorney, whether it's to purchase the property, to evict people, any legal things that has to be done, you will need an attorney, so you need to have cash on hand to pay for attorneys. Another con to real estate investing is all of the tax forms. Now, as far as the tax advantages go, real estate is a very good one. But in order to file to get those benefits, you have to fill out a lot of paperwork. And I have people that do my taxes for me, and every time, every piece of paper they fill out costs me money. And there's a lot of papers to be filled out when you use real estate. Another con to real estate investment is the repairs to the property. I had an apartment building one time that they did not make me aware of. It was an 18-unit apartment building that did not have city utilities. It had septic tank. And that bad boy had to be emptied every couple of years, and it was $10,000 a pop to get that thing drained. So, yeah. So the repairs, the carpeting, we just did carpeting and paint in that little house, and our little house is like 900 square feet, and I spent, on deal, by the way, about $1,000 on carpet and about $100 in paint, and I did all the work. Plus the several $100s to keep the yard mowed and get the yard picked up. So I probably spent close to $2,000 just getting that house ready to rent, and that will happen on a regular basis. Every time somebody moves out, you got to go in and spend money. The amount of money depends on the tenant that you had in there. Another con to real estate investing is the neighborhood and the neighbors. You can rent in the nicest neighborhood and still have cruddy neighbors. The little house that we bought, the ministry bought, it's in a middle-class neighborhood. But the next door neighbor is just a drunk, obnoxious person. And so whoever goes in there is going to have to learn to deal with this guy. And I try to tell him, but you can't control what other people do. And even if everything's good when you move in, who's to say that whoever moves in next or buys that property or a property in your neighborhood is not going to be a jerk. So that's part of it. Another con to real estate investing, we touched on in the pros, and that's the financing. I mean, first off, you have to qualify for the loan. And secondly, as a general rule in this area, they will not count rental income towards making. So if I go to buy another house, they're not going to count the income. They're going to add the house that we currently have plus to the property that I want to buy. So you can see that very quickly, after 2 or 3 financed houses through the bank, I'm going to be done. And that's not right. There has to be another way to do that. I just don't know how to do it unless I go commercial loan, and I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll cross that bridge. But financing is an issue, and depending on your credit rating, depending on your down payment, depending on your relationship with the bank, it could be easy, it could be hard, it could be somewhere in the middle. But financing is definitely an issue. Another con to real estate investment will be the upkeep. Just through the normal wear and tear, I mean, you will eventually have to paint or repair the exterior, the roof, the windows, and it just so happens this little house that we bought, the roof was brand new, the windows were new, the inside is what needed work, and I'm pretty good at that, so it was okay. But upkeep, so you need to set aside money each and every month to put just towards upkeep. Plumbing problems, electrical problems, structural problems, whatever it is that comes up, that's part of owning real estate. Another con is liquidity. You know, your stocks are very liquid. You can sell those and have the money in your pocket in a day or two. Real estate, even if you sold it today and signed the papers, you got to wait till closing, and then you get the money. So let's say that we listed it today. The average in the neighborhood where we bought was 28 days on the market. So 28 days, that's 1 month. Okay, and that's when it sells. So then you have to have the buyers qualify. That takes a week or two. Then you have to set closing. That takes a month or two. So we're looking at 3 to 4 to 5 months before the time you decide to sell to the time you get to walk away with your money. Liquidity is a problem. The only way around that is to refinance, which is a possibility, but then your payments go up. Well, I've gone a little long, but I wanted to make sure I covered all the pros and cons that I could think of in real estate investing, and then I wanted to close by drawing a conclusion. And the conclusion is this: if you are motivated, and if you have listened through this video and you have decided that this is a good way to make money, then real estate is good for you. But if you went through and you listened to this and you thought, yeah, I don't want that, so my conclusion is real estate can be a good investment for the right people at the right time. If you didn't take a pen and go through and mark down everything that we talked about, rewatch this video and write them down and make sure that you're willing to do the things that we talked about, because every one of these things are things that I've dealt with in my real estate investing. So there you have it, the pros and cons of real estate investing. I hope I helped you. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.